So, do you have involvement in research or evaluation programs in relation to young participants? If so, welcome to my Lightning Skills series. So this is a series of quick fire mini videos that take you through the essentials of research and evaluation skills in direct relation to education, access and participation. In this video, I'm going to be running through some key steps when it comes to developing a robust evaluation strategy. And this is in direct relation to access and participation activities and programs as well. So here it is, developing a robust evaluation strategy, a step-by-step guide. Enjoy. So first up, what I'm going to say probably isn't a surprise, and it's defining some really clear objectives. Now, in relation to that, you want to be looking at your macro versus your micro objectives. Macro in relation to your program strategy. So that might be in direct relation to your progression framework and the outcomes that you want for that. You've then got your micro outcomes and objectives, and that's obviously in relation to your actual workshops and your activities on your programs. So developing those, being really, really clear about what the outcomes are for those is obviously the first step and is very key. Just remembering what you can't define, you can't measure. So next up is your theory of change and logic model framework. I'm sorry to say those words, but yes, you do need those. And the reason for this, it just helps you to really thoroughly plan the process for your programs and your activities. So it helps you to look at the relationship between the inputs, the activities, the outcomes, and also the outputs for your activities and programs. It also helps you to really kind of stop and look at, are there any assumptions that you have around your activities? Are there any hypotheses that you're wanting to test as well in terms of those outcomes? So it is a really kind of step-by-step, thorough process that I think is definitely needed at the start stages. A key tip for this is to actually look at something very visual. So you can really get into the detail and get very granular with your theory of change and logic model frameworks. But I would recommend just keeping it quite high level really and looking at a way to visualize that with infographics. And the reason for that is just that when you are sharing this internally or externally to stakeholders, it's just much easier to digest. So next up is designing your evaluation framework. So what methods are you going to be choosing? Now this is in direct relation to your activities and what they will allow for in terms of your methodologies. I will actually be doing a video on this a little bit later on for the Lightning Skills series. But generally, this point is just around looking at the types of activities you're doing and also the outcomes that those activities have and how that relates to the evaluation methodologies. A key tip here is to really look at mixed methods when you're looking at designing your evaluation. Mixed methods allow you to be able to triangulate the data, and it just allows you to look at lots of different methods and lots of different sources, and also look at the program and how it's performed from a holistic viewpoint. And in relation to that, it just means that the data that you get is a lot more reliable and valid because you have a number of different data sources. Now, this is where most evaluation strategies end, generally looking at overall objectives, also methodologies, your activities, and how you're going to measure them. And that's absolutely fine. But if you're wanting to delve a little deeper and have something that's a little bit more robust, I would encourage you to look at these following steps. So plan for embedded evaluation. This is so key to running a successful impact evaluation, particularly when you're looking at activities that involve young participants and schools and lots of different stakeholders. So here I would recommend really thinking about, how do we need to design our programs? How can the evaluation be really planned in and embedded into the programs and the activities that we're running on the ground? Look at this at the start rather than doing it once the activity starts and you're trying to play catch up then. Also looking at the logistics. So who is going to be carrying out the evaluation? For this, we really look to the practitioners to help with the facilitation of the evaluation, and they are invaluable when it comes to actually running a successful evaluation. So look at your team, look at the stakeholders, and look at who it is that you need to get involved for this to run smoothly. So next up is plan to test. Now, I get it, sometimes there's just not time and you need to crack on and get on with those impact evaluations, and that's absolutely fine. But where you do have a longer lead-in time and you do have that time to run a pilot study, then it's definitely something that's worthwhile. Looking at how students respond to the questions that you have designed, and also any other kinks that need to be ironed out in terms of your plan for evaluation for that particular program, is just really useful exercise rather than actually doing it live in the field. Other things to consider as well is just actually the data collection methods, and are they fit for purpose? So running a pilot on maybe a smaller sample of students, or maybe just one activity or one workshop within that activity, really helps to get you well prepared before rolling out a bigger evaluation. This is a step that is sometimes just kind of taken as read, that a report will be distributed to internal stakeholders or external stakeholders, and there isn't much more thought sometimes given to it than that. But actually, really looking at this and looking at how you can engage your stakeholders in a more creative way will really help your findings to have much more gravitas and impact with those stakeholders. So I would recommend looking at different types of ways to disseminate. So co-creation workshops work really, really well. So involving stakeholders in the recommendations and them helping you to develop those next crucial steps in terms of, what it is that you're going to do next as a result of this evaluation. Other things such as storytelling, visual, graphics, infographics, executive, very, very short executive summaries that just get to the point, toolkits. The list is endless, really. There's lots of different ways in which you can engage your stakeholders in a creative way and get buy-in as well. So I really do think this is a vital step for recognition in your external community and for external stakeholders. Also support from them. And it really helps to bring the team together just in terms of team collegiality, because they can really celebrate in some of the successes that you're reporting. So next up is using the findings for improvements. Now, this might seem like an obvious step, but really it's thinking about this at the start and thinking, who is going to be doing this? Who is going to be taking those recommendations and next steps in the team, and then really implementing them into your activities, programs, workshops. So really looking to measure meaningfully, as we like to call it at Cosmos. And what that really means is when you're measuring, it's something meaningful, and it's something that then feeds back into the process and improves the general standards of your activities and programs, just in terms of outcomes and how they are run. Vital in this step as well is really quick feedback. So ensuring that sometimes on the longitudinal studies where they do take a little bit longer, there are interim measures for feedback. So whoever's involved in that activity can take action and quickly make improvements where needed. And the last one is plan for the unplanned. So we recognise that actually sometimes things happen and you might have to change plans last minute just because of how things fall out. And that's okay. And I suppose it's just noting that it is okay to be open and have flex with your evaluation strategy. As robust, obviously, as those steps were, sometimes things happen in real life that we can't account for, and that's fine. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this Lightning Skills series, and I hope you've taken something valuable away today. I look forward to seeing you again soon.